Hello, greetings from here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the present continuous tense. The present continuous tense has its own structure and function. Now let's break it down into two main parts. The first part is its structure. How do we construct present continuous sentences? First, the structure of a sentence can be easily constructed or organized by putting the subject, verb, and object. Or if we use linking words, we may not get an object, but instead we use a complement or adverbials instead of objects. Complement means it can be a noun or it can be an adjectives. And the noun can be subject complement, or most of the time after a linking verb we use noun or subject complement. It can be an adjective or a noun or adverbial phrases at the end. So when we put together the subject, the verb, and complement or the object, if we use an action verb, the verb completes its action by using object. If we don't use action verb, if it is verb to be, in this case am, is, are in the present, or was and were in the past, we use a complement. The complement means it completes the meaning of the subject. It tells you about the subject when we use a complement after a linking verbs or verb to be. On the other hand, when we use an object, the object completes or receives the action of the verb. So these are two different parts in a sentence. Some words end with an object if that word is an action verb. If it is an action verb, the next part of the sentence is object of the sentence. If the verb is a linking word, then the next part of the sentence could be a complement. It can be a noun or an adjective or adverbials. That means preposition plus noun or prepositional phrase. So when we put this all together, I am, he, she, it, is, we, you, they, take, are. So we have a subject, then followed by a verb. It's not only a personal pronoun we use as a subject, we can also use nouns. When we use noun as a subject, we consider it as a head word, then we can expand, develop the subject by using additional words or modifiers, adjectives, and another determiners, quantifiers to develop, to expand, to give more clarity for the noun. So in some cases you can find a single word as a subject, and some other time you can expand, you can describe the word, the head word in the subject by using additional modifiers, adjectives, quantifiers, and determiners. That means articles, demonstrative pronouns like these, that, determiners like definite articles, the, and indefinite articles, a or an. And we can also use quantifiers which quantify the amount or quantity of something This all are called modifiers or quantifiers because they quantify, they modify a head word that is a noun within the subject. So next to this, in case of action verbs, we can use it in the continuous forms, in the continuous for in the ing forms, or they can be used in the present forms, or we can use in the present or ing forms. So in the case of present continuous tense, we can use subject then followed by time. The time is in the present. The present time includes am, is, are. Then we need to match the subject with the verb appropriately. Then the next part is action. What is the action in progress that is continuous? We can add an ing to make the action or the base verb continuous. We can make this by different ways. Most verbs add an ing at the end of base verb. So we simply put ing at the end of base verb. So we have subject, then time. The time is in the present. Am, is, are in the present. Then action. The action is what? Base verb plus ing. That is continuous action. Progressive verbs. Progressive verbs. The first way that we can change the verb into ing is simply add the suffix ing at the end of base verb, base verbs. The second one, if the last letter of the word, the base word, is silent, for example, come. If you look at the word come, e is silent and the end at the end. Then just we omit, we cancel the last silent letter e, then we add ing. This is the other way how we can make base verb continuous. And the third one is the last letter of the word. For example, lay down. If you take the word lay down, ie is changed into y before adding ing. It's very difficult if you don't know the rules, what change applies in case of particular or few English words. For example, lay down, and the main word is lay, so you don't need to change the phrasal verb, the whole phrasal verb. You need to focus on the main word. The other one, the next word is the preposition, so you don't need to change that. So lay down. The other word is die. If you write down the word die, if you want to change into, or if you want to use it in a continuous form, you need to cancel, you need to omit ie before adding ing. So I am dying of thirst. This means you are in need of drinking water. So sometimes it's very important to know the spelling rules. The spelling rules. There are some exceptions which you may not imagine to use it in different contexts. So, and the next one is if a word has a single vowel, one syllable word. When you say a one syllable word, there are words, for example, put, sit, cut. These words are included under a one syllable words. First, we have consonant, we have a vowel in the middle, then the consonant at the end. When we add ing for the words, for a single vowel words, we need to double the final consonant before adding ing. This is a rule. If you change the word into continuous form, for example, put, I am putting on my shoes. Putting on. If you write it, you need to double the last consonant. You need to use double consonant before adding ing. This is another important rules. And the other very similar with regard to syllable is if a word has two syllable. The previous one is a one syllable word where you can find a single vowel between two consonants. The next one is if there are two vowels. When the stress is on the second vowel, when we say stress, you stress or you give more emphasis. The second syllable gets louder and longer emphasis. You emphasize by stressing the second syllable louder and longer. In this case, the final consonant becomes double. You double the final consonant before adding ing if the second syllable gets stressed. If the first syllable gets stressed, for example, if you say differ, if we stressed on D, then we don't need to double the last consonant because the stress is on the first consonant. But if you say, if you write a word begin. If you write begin, the stress is on the second syllable. In this case, N becomes double. You double the second consonant, the last consonant in the last consonant. So the first one is if a word is a single syllable word. If a word has got a single syllable, then the last consonant must be, you double the last consonant before adding ing. And the second one is if the word has got two syllables, if the second syllable is stressed, then you double the final consonant before adding ing. This is spelling rule of the present continuous tense. And the other important thing with regard to present continuous is we never use all verbs in English in the continuous forms. They are exceptional words which we cannot use them in the continuous form. Apart from the rule we have just mentioned, for example, adding ing or by double the last consonant or omitting the final letter, it doesn't work for the following words. If the words include feelings, for example, hate, love, we don't say I am loving. We don't say I am hating. We use it in the simple present form only. So these verbs, we don't use continuous form. These are exceptional words, verbs of emotion, verbs of possessions, verbs of senses, sense organ, for example, smell, see, hear. This type of verbs are called stative verbs. We don't change them into ing. For example, I think. We cannot say I am thinking. I believe. I am believing. We don't say I am believing. I understand. We don't say I am understanding. Some verbs can be used both for action and state verbs, but some verbs only used in the when the meaning of the word means different. In that case, we may use this. For example, I am seeing my family doctor next week. Seeing means meeting, so it means that you are meeting your doctor. So, and sometimes we can also use ing. I am having a dinner. I owe this car. If you say I owe, this is appropriate to use in the present. But if you say I am owing, we cannot say I am owing. And to indicate possession, we cannot say I am owing or this house belongs to me. Appropriate, but you cannot say this house is belonging. You cannot say like that. Belong or owe is verbs of possession. So verbs of possession cannot be used in the ing form. So in general, we don't change all verbs in English, or we don't use all verbs in the continuous form. There are exceptional verbs that cannot be used in the ing form, in the continuous form. These verbs are verbs of senses, or they are called stative verbs. That shows emotion, feeling, possessions, and want and need. We don't say I am wanting, we say I want, or we don't say I am needing, I need, I want. Yeah, these categories, this group of verbs cannot be used in the continuous form. Otherwise, apart from this, we can change all verbs in English by adding, by following the point which I mentioned earlier. That means adding ing, most verbs add ing, and some verbs omit the final letter. If there is a one syllable word, in that case you need to double the final consonant before adding ing. If it is a two syllable word, if the stress is on the second, when you say stress, the syllable gets louder and a stronger tone, you double the final consonant. Even if the words are the same, but if the stress fall different part of the syllable, then the part of speech changes. The meaning also change, the part of speech changes. When you change the stress, the part of speech changes, and the spelling rule also changes. And when you move on to the second part, which is usages of present continuous, before that we can use the pronunciation and the spelling of present continuous tense for auxiliary verbs that can be verb to be, can be contracted when we use in the present continuous tense. Sometimes when it is spoken English, we connect words or phrases so that give more emphasis on content or main words, and some functional words may not get stressed. In this case, we may use contraction. For example, we use subject and auxiliary verb or verb verb to be in the present. For example, I am. When we use contraction, I'm, we pronounce it like I'm. If you understand this, you can also listen what the other person is talking, or it is not usually what we read. Sometimes when we communicate, we use connected speech, so we need to sometimes we you may not hear the actual words in connected speech, the actual word, the actual sounds of the connected speech. Contraction can be used to make the subject and verb short, and in this case, I'll, I will, he's, he is, she's, she is, will, we will. I am not reading, she is not listening, they are not following. Is not, I'm not. So this is how we can use contraction to make a phrase or word short. So we have contraction for auxiliary verbs, like I have said earlier. And when it comes to the usages of present continuous tense, present continuous tense has four main usages. The first one is when we want to describe actions that is taking place at the time of speaking. At the time of speaking means we can use time adverbs like now, at the moment. At the moment means at the present time. At the present time, at the moment, and now indicates the action is taking place at the time of speaking. I am recording this video. I am teaching now. You are listening. She is watching. He is reading. So if I describe this action at the time of speaking, at the time of speaking, at the moment, or now, I use the present continuous tense. I am reading. At this time, I am reading. She is watching. She is writing. So these actions are continuous at the time of speaking. This is the usage, the first usage of present continuous tense. The second usage of present continuous is when we want to describe a temporary action. Temporary action. This action may not necessarily happening at the time of speaking, but the action is in progress. For example, I'm studying Dutch. Even though the action is not taking place at this time, but the action is in progress. The action is continuous. At the time of speaking, even though necessarily it's not at the time of speaking, but the action is continuous. Temporary actions, we use present continuous tense. For example, if I say my son is studying at Oxford University, this is a temporary action. It is a temporary action, even though at the time of speaking, it's not necessarily at the time of speaking, but the action is what? Continuous. And the third usage of present continuous tense is to indicate future plan, timetable, schedule, by using by using future adverbial reference. Future adverbial reference means most of the time adverbs used to indicate time. If you remember, I mentioned common adverbs in the simple present tense that shows repeated or habitual actions. For example, when you say always, if you go to work 5 days a week, then you can say 100% always. When you just decrease the frequency from 5 to 4, you can say usually. So usually is 80%, always is 100%. If you decrease again the frequency, you can say often or often. That is 60%. If you go to work 3 days a week, then you can say often. If you go to work 2 days a week, you can say sometimes. Then you decreased 40%. If you never go to work in a week, then you can say never, 0%. So if you measure the frequency, you can use frequency adverbs even in the simple present like that. And we can also use future time, future adverbial time to indicate timetable or schedule. In the future, tomorrow, next week, next time, coming Monday, next Sunday. Yeah, adverbs like this can be used in conjunction with present continuous tense to indicate timetable, plan. I am visiting, or we are visiting our friends next week. So this is a future plan. By using future adverbial reference, we can use present continuous tense to indicate a timetable, a schedule, plan in the future. But we need to include a future adverbials adverbs to indicate time, specific or definite time in the future. And finally, we can use present continuous tense to indicate habitual actions. That means most of the time it is not a positive when we use habitual action, but it tells something happens time and again by using adverbs like always. For example, he is always forgetting his keys. So it is not encouraging. It is not a positive compliment if we say he is always forgetting. So if you want to indicate repeated or habitual action, we can also use present continuous, especially by using the adverb always. He is always forgetting his keys. Or if you want to use it for positive feedback, you can also use he is always helping people. These are some of the usages of present continuous tense. Before I wrap up this session, let me give you a quick comparison between the simple present and present continuous tense. In the simple present, we can use a singular subject and a singular verb for third person singular with singular verbs. To make a statement, we need to consider the singular subject and the singular verbs. If the subject is singular, the verb, the main or the base verb, needs to add suffixes to make agreement in person and a number. So most verb adds s, es and ies. When you change the statement affirmative sentence into interrogative sentence, we use does not for third person singulars and do not for I, we, you, they, and plural personal pronoun. Or for plural nouns, we use do not, and third person singular, we use does not. So we can also use contraction for not. Does not, he does not like coffee, he likes coffee, she does not like coffee. Simple present tense describes repeated or habitual action by using adverbs like always, usually, sometimes, often. But in the case of present continuous, the adverb we use to indicate repeated action is always. He is always forgetting things. Most of the time we use this to indicate something which is not positive. But in the case of simple present, the routine day-to-day activities can be used in the present in the simple present form to indicate habitual or repeated actions. So this brings us the end of today's lesson. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Until then, stay safe. Bye. ውድ የዚህ ቻናል ቤተሰቦች ሰላም ጤና ይስጥልኝ። እንደተለመደው የከበረ ሰላምታዬ በያላችሁበት ይድረሳችሁ። ዛሬ የምናወራው በዛሬ ትምህርታችን ላይ የምናነሳው ስለ ፕሬዘንት ፐርፌክት ቴንስ ይሆናል። እስካሁን ድረስ የተማርናቸውን ነጥቦች ቶፒክ ሌሰኖች ወይንም ደግሞ ርዕሶች አንድ በአንድ እያገናኘን ዛሬ ላይ ደርሰናል። ስለዚህ እያንዳንዱን ፒስስ ወይንም እያንዳንዱን ፖይንት እያንዳንዱን ሌሰን አንዱ በአንዱ ላይ ቢልድ እያደረግን መሄድ አለብን። ያው ሁላችሁም እንደምታውቁት ሰማይ ጠቀስ የሆነ ህንፃን ለምሳሌነት ብትወስዱት በመጀመሪያ ደረጃ ፋውንዴሽን ላይ ብዙ ጊዜ ይወስዳል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ አሁን እናንተ ይህም ቪዲዮ የምትመለከቱት ውድ ተመልካቾች ልነግራችሁ ወይም ደግሞ ልገልጽላችሁ የምፈልገው ነገር ቋንቋ የመቶ ሜትር ሩጫ አይደለም። ሁላችሁም ታውቁታላችሁ። የማራቶን ሩጫ ነው። ብዙ ትዕግስት፣ ብዙ ኢፈርት ይፈልጋል። ስለዚህ ያለምንም መሰልቸት ያለምንም ተስፋ መቁረጥ የምትፈልጉትን በእያንዳንዱ ቪዲዮዎች በመውሰድ ያንን ከራሳችሁ ላይፍ ጋር ኢንተግሬት በማድረግ ከራሳችሁ ላይፍ ጋር ሪሌት በማድረግ ስሞል ስቴፕስ በተወሰነ ግራጁዋል የሆነ ለውጥ እያሳያችሁ እንደምትሄዱ ምንም ጥርጥር የለኝም፣ አልጠራጠርም።